The Rhetorical Situation, Part 2. Another area that will guide your writing is purpose. Purpose answers the following questions. What are you trying to do with this document? What are you trying to achieve? What will this document do for the reader? What is your main argument? We have two basic purposes in rhetoric: to inform and to persuade. Every communication event falls on a spectrum between these two purposes. You can have something that is completely persuasive. However, you cannot have something that is purely information. Remember back to our definition of rhetoric. Every word shapes your worldview. Therefore, every word is rhetorical. That means every word contains a form of persuasion. Here is an example. Your friend writes a grocery list for you. The list contains such items as vegetables, fruit, chicken breast, and whole grain breads. What is this friend trying to get you to do? Eat healthy. Another friend writes a grocery list for you. The list contains such items as ramen noodles, mac and cheese, and bologna. What is this friend trying to get you to do? Eat cheaply. A third friend writes another grocery list. This one contains items like beer, chips and dips, and pizza. What is the friend trying to get you to do? Throw a party. Think about it. These are just lists of items, yet the list still contains persuasion. The lists still shape your worldview. So we cannot have a document that is information only. We can have documents that contain very little persuasion, but they all will contain some persuasion. In our society, we have this idea that scientific, engineering, and medical information does not contain persuasion. In reality, this information can be very persuasive. The writer of such information makes many decisions in the process of creating a paper, for example. What information will I provide? How much detail will I provide? What terms and expressions will I use? What assertions will I make? Each of these decisions shape the experiences of the reader. Each of these decisions determines how this information will shape the reader's worldview. Even when a writer is trying to be neutral, biases and prejudices can still appear in subtle ways. As readers and writers, we should always be aware of how persuasion works. As writers of scientific and technical information, your purpose often falls on the side of to inform. However, you always want to consider what part persuasion plays in your writing. To inform and to persuade are basic purposes. Each document has a specific purpose as well. What are you trying to prove or suggest? Are you trying to change something? Do you want your reader to do something? Do you want your reader to believe something? In medical and scientific writing, we clearly state our purpose early in the document. You may have a less obvious purpose that you do not state that underlies your obvious purpose. In either case, your entire document should support your purpose. Think about the words you are using and the way you are saying things. Do they support your purpose? Does your writing support your primary goal? Always keep your purpose in mind. The subject of your document seems straightforward since it is simply the topic of your document. However, we have two common issues that come up around the subject: staying on topic and considering the scope. Staying on topic seems obvious, though it can be more challenging than it appears. What if your audience needs background information? What if you stumble across some very interesting information that is related to, but does not directly pertain to, your subject? In such situations, you may want to mention or provide a summary of the information, as well as a link to where they might find more detail. Afterwards, come back to your topic and focus. Issues with scope are much more subtle and more pervasive than staying on topic. When we speak of scope, we are talking about what you are covering and in what detail. Students often try to tackle a topic far too large to explore in an assigned venue. A less common problem, students can try to cover a topic where too little information exists to meet the needs of the audience. You can determine your scope by creating an outline. If your outline is a third as long or longer than the page length of the final paper or project, your scope should be reduced. If your outline is very short, you need to broaden your scope or find more supporting arguments. A competent scientific and technical writer states the subject early in the document, preferably in the first paragraph. Though the idea of subject seems straightforward, it can be tricky. Make sure your subject is focused and clear throughout your papers and documents. Context affects the wording you use as well as how you present your information. Context includes everything surrounding your writing, the delivery method and medium, the physical environment for your writing, any political or financial issues, and the like. Context will determine how you approach some topics, as well as the structure of your writing. Delivery method and medium are important elements to consider when writing. Delivery method means the way in which a person will read your document. Are you writing a web page? Are you writing a book? Are you writing a brochure? Is this a scholarly paper? We write differently in each of these cases. For instance, if you're writing a book, you can use longer sentences and paragraphs since people find it easier to read such prose in hard copy. If you're writing for the web, we want to use shorter sentences and paragraphs. You may need to take political or financial issues into account in your writing as well. For instance, if you're writing about the health of welfare recipients, you would consider the political climate. To determine the context, ask yourself these questions. How will this document be distributed? How long should this document be? How formal should my language be? Are there any social or political issues I need to keep in mind? Is there anything else surrounding this document that I need to keep in mind? Make sure you consider the context of your document before you start writing. Bearing context in mind will make your document more effective in the end. To communicate well, you must understand the rhetorical situation. An acronym that might help you remember the 4 elements of the situation is CAPS: context, audience, purpose, subject. Keep the rhetorical situation in mind while preparing all of your writing. I lay out each major assignment using this concept.